This video is part one of a two-part teaching aid addressing multi-patient event management policies and procedures. Viewers should already have a working knowledge of the incident command system at level 100 or greater, start triage, and the Santa Clara County Multiple Patient Management Plan. The MPMP can be found at secemsagency.org. The objective of this video is to educate field officers and providers about EMS resources available during a multiple patient incident, to assist incident commanders with making EMS resource requests, and to address the roles of various provider levels in the multiple patient incident setting. There are two ways for the incident commander to order a complement of ambulance resources. For events that are not expected to grow but have multiple patients requiring transport, requesting an ambulance task force 1 or 2 will result in a complement of 3 or 6 ambulances and a field supervisor, but not otherwise alter 911 ambulance operations. The Multiple Patient Management Plan at levels 1 and 2 is designed to deploy an initial complement of transport resources in addition to altering routine 911 and hospital operations in order to best support a long-term multiple patient incident. The incident commander may still order individual ambulances to accommodate special needs. For example, keeping in mind that each ambulance will transport 2 patients in full spinal precautions, an additional single ambulance would be appropriate to transport a third immobilized patient. An ambulance task force is a quick and easy way to request a complement of ambulance resources for a multiple patient incident that is no longer generating patients. An example incident for which an ambulance task force is appropriate is a multi-patient motor vehicle collision on the highway. This incident has several patients already, but it will not generate any more. The scenario will require more ambulance resources than a single patient incident, but it will not need so many that routine 911 operations for ambulance providers need to be changed. Similarly, hazardous material events, greater alarm structure fires, and police actions are appropriate for ambulance task force utilization if a set amount of patients are being generated. Activating the Multiple Patient Management Plan should be considered when the incident commander expects an incident to already be or to become large enough to require an expanded response from fire, law enforcement, and ambulance providers, including assigning ICS roles and establishing ICS sections. In these cases, it is appropriate to assign first responders to on-scene triage and treatment roles in order to enable each responding ambulance to receive and transport a full load of patients. Keeping ambulances available to transport is important because of the lower number of 911 system ambulances compared to the number of first responder units. There are usually between 24 and 34 ambulances working the entire 911 system at a time, which means that throughout Santa Clara County, in-service first responder units routinely outnumber ambulances at least 4 to 1. The Multiple Patient Management Plan helps keep those ambulances available by being scalable, adaptable, and able to balance resource needs with resource availability. The most obvious result of activating the MPMP at levels 1 or 2 is the arrival of a complement of ambulance resources that is identical to the ambulance task force of the same level. In the case of the true MPMP, the complement of ambulance resources is intended to provide an initially adequate quantity of EMS resources, even if the incident commander has not yet determined what resources will be needed overall. The MPMP activation then triggers a cascade of events intended to bolster the 911 and hospital system's capacity to receive a large or continuous number of patients while still adequately serving routine 911 traffic. The MPMP activation achieves this balance by altering several routine functions of the 911 and hospital system. Ambulance providers enact several temporary measures to maintain greater ambulance availability. County Communications performs an ambulance query to pull non-911 ambulance providers into the 911 system to increase available units. Hospital emergency departments perform bed queries and prioritize clearing ED beds in order to accommodate higher potential patient volume. All fire department and private ambulance communication centers are electronically notified of the activation. In order to best clarify these distinctions in practice, let's examine provider roles at the multiple casualty incident.
What is expected of me when I'm first to arrive at a potential MCI?
All first responding units must give a size-up or CAN report as soon as possible. This report includes the conditions at the scene, the actions that have been and will be taken by the reporting provider, and any appropriate adjustments to resource needs, such as requesting additional resources or canceling resources already en route. The CAN report gives other inbound units a better idea of what to expect and improves the efficiency and safety of all responders. After completing the CAN report, the first arriving ambulance should expect to transport one or more patients and should not become involved with on-scene activities that would prevent them from doing so. First arriving fire resources should perform triage and begin preparing the most critical patients for transport.
Who requests more resources?
It is always the incident commander's responsibility to order resources until they delegate that responsibility to another. Single-point ordering is an important concept in the MCI, and all requests for additional EMS resources must come from the same place in order to maintain unity of command and span of control.
Will the first arriving unit remain on scene or transport right away?
The incident commander may or may not have the first arriving ambulance transport immediately. Depending on what resources are available and what resources are already on scene, the incident commander will decide how to best utilize the first arriving ambulance. But all ambulance crews should be prepared to transport on arrival at the scene. Ideally, each will receive a full load of patients quickly so that the ambulance availability remains as high as possible throughout the incident.
The EMS field supervisors are qualified to fill a variety of roles in the MCI setting.
These roles include Transportation Group Supervisor, Ground Ambulance Staging Area Manager, and Patient Loading Manager. The EMS field supervisor is appropriate for these roles because of their familiarity with ambulance resources and rapport with responding ambulance crews. The incident commander will determine what resources are necessary to manage the incident. Fire department resources should remain to control the scene, stop whatever is generating patients, and triage existing patients, while ambulances assigned to the incident are best utilized for transporting a full complement of patients due to the lower number of ambulance units available in the county. During one or more multiple patient incidents, the EMS duty chief will closely monitor the EMS system in hospitals in order to supply ongoing incidents and routine 911 calls with adequate ambulance resources and be sure that each hospital has beds ready. Incident commanders may contact the EMS duty chief at any time through county communications. As incidents expand in scope or complexity, so does the number of units required to respond. This may require that the ambulance staging be established near the incident. Any ambulance responding to a staging area for an incident must submit a completed T-card to the Ground Ambulance Staging Area Manager and await further instruction. At the scene of the multi-patient event, responders should initiate and continue the start triage process and issue county-approved triage tags to each patient. Finally, alerts are a way for a responding company officer to advise his or her own dispatch center that a patient-generating event may be larger than originally thought or that it may grow. An MPMP alert is not the same as an activation and is an internal advisory only. In this video, we have discussed the roles and responsibilities of various responders to multi-patient incidents, the various options available to the incident commander for ordering transport and EMS supervisor resources, and the impact of the MPMP activation on the EMS system as a whole. We hope you have gained a better understanding of what happens behind the scenes to prepare the EMS system for large incidents, and how you can best contribute to mitigating multi-patient incidents while ensuring the integrity of the 911 system overall. For more information and for related plans and documents, please visit sccemsagency.org.